Welcome to Scorched Earth. This is going to be a general reading for the month of June for the sign of Gemini, Sun, Moon and Ascendant. You know the deal now. If you don't know what your Moon or Ascendant signs are, there's a link down in the description box. It will take you to a site that will help you find it for free. And then you should come back and watch the videos for your Moon and Ascendant signs. Speaking of the description box, there is a metric ton of information that is in there for you. So have a look, from the decks that I use to how to get in touch with me. All of my social media links, and I'm on Twitter now because it seemed like the right thing to do. After a 5-year hiatus, I'm back on there. So if that's your thing, come and find me and we can chat about things. What else? The link to donate is down in there in the description box as well, and the Patreon is now live, albeit in a stripped down version. I will be adding things to that in time, but it's up and it's there. What else? There will be an extended to this video. The link will be in the description box. And this month I am trialing something that I wanted to do for ages, which is shadow reads for all of the signs. Now, I personally think that each sign is born with a shadow that is collective in nature, and part of your life lesson is kind of working through that specific to your sign, you know, and quite apart from any other shadow stuff that you might be suffering from. So they're very short, and I'd love some feedback from people on them. The idea of them is to get you thinking about yourself in an objective way, and to kind of prompt you towards taking ownership of those things that you don't really want to, right? They are by definition uncomfortable because they deal with the bits of you that you don't really want to look at. So if personal growth is your thing, maybe check those out, have a look. And like I said, I'd love some feedback, so leave me something down in the comments about it when you've seen it. I'll link it at the end of this video. But I think that is everything. Oh, no, I'm going to do a live stream on Saturday, which is the 30th of May. So if you are interested in joining me for that, I'd be delighted to see you. And if you've got any questions, I think I'll put a post on the community tab. If you want to stick them in there, that's cool. Or else just, you know, hit me up on Twitter or whatever with them, and I'll compile a list. So, very warm all of a sudden for you, Gemini. Let's get 3 cards for Gemini for June, please. Ooh, there's the first one, Ace of Wands. 2 more cards for Gemini, please. Judgment in your current energy. And 1 more for what's coming towards Gemini, please. We've got the 4 of Swords. That's interesting. At the bottom of the deck, interestingly, as I've just been wittering about shadow, is the Moon. So let's get some clarifiers and then we'll get on with the reading. Don't want to use to clarify. I hope the noise of people wittering outside isn't too loud on the microphone. Right. About the Ace of Wands. Why is the Ace of Wands here for Gemini, please? Okay, we've got the 3 of Wands, 3 of Swords, and the 4 of Wands. That's interesting. We've got the King of Wands there for Judgment. And the King of Swords. That's really interesting. That exact combination came up in that exact order in the extended that I did, that I've literally just done for Scorpio. That's the 4 of Swords, please. That's the 4 of Swords here for Gemini. We've got the 8 of Pentacles. Interesting. 4 of Swords. This is 4 of Swords here for Gemini. That's the one. There. We've got the 2 of Wands. Why do I keep getting wands and swords mixed up today? It's because they're arrows and staffs or something like that. Anyway, it's in the reverse though, and I like this. So, at the bottom of the deck, we've got the Queen of Wands, followed by the Ace of Wands, which is your first card out. So that's interesting. Right. I've lost my thing. There it is. So, in your recent past, touching on now, we've got the Ace of Wands. Now, this is a good card. It talks about flashes of sparks, flashes of inspiration about things. I don't know why my mouth isn't working all of a sudden. It's funny when I'm reading for Gemini as well, and you'd think that my mouth would be working better than usual, but it's not. Here we are. So, it contains the infinite potentiality of everything that is contained within the wand suit, right? So this is excitement. This is things that make your blood run hot. It can be a new relationship, potentially. Or it could just be anything that really gets you excited. Now, the flip side of that is that it can tip over into aggression. It can be combative energy, but because it's the ace, it contains all of it, right? So you take the rough with the smooth, right? But generally speaking, when you see the ace, it's a good thing. And this is in your recent past, touching on to present. And the curious combination that you've got to clarify is the Three of Swords and the Four of Wands. Now, this speaks to me about home, right? More specifically, a new start in a new environment that you consider home. But it's what's sitting between the ace and the four. Fuck off, really. I got used to it being very quiet down here during the lockdown that we're still in, that apparently we're not in anymore, because every fucker is in their car right now, and I can have my window open and listen to the birds, which was really, really pleasant for like 6 weeks. Anyway, what's sitting between the new start and the home is the Three of Swords. And notice how that heart is on fire there. It's really, really interesting imagery, because fire is not something that you usually consider to be linked to the Three of Swords in any way, but there it is. Right? And it feels like a delay. It feels like some sort of obstacle has been thrown in your way that stops you from starting something new, something that feels like home to you. Let me pull another clarifier for that. Because this Four of Wands is an active celebration going on there. Look at all the fire that's in there. It's almost like you've got the initial spark, and then you've got it catching fire here with this heart, and then you've got a raging inferno thereafter. Tell me about this Three of Swords, please. Why is this Three of Swords here? Huh. I've got Judgment and the Nine of Wands. What's that? And that's funny because you've got Judgment come out in your current energy as well. So this is kind of like the bridge to the thing. But underneath the Three of Swords, we've got the Nine of Wands. And this is somebody who's looking fucked up and injured. And it feels like this is the thing that kind of... This doesn't feel like a heartbreak. This feels like it feels like a wounding, but the flame is still there, the fire is still there. It feels like it's been in some way. Yeah, like an obstacle has been put in your path, and the obstacle is this here. Right, we've got this person who's looking all fucked up and injured slightly. And this is my card of boundaries often, but this feels like it's less ethereal than something like the concept of boundaries. This feels like it was something that was very specifically put in your path and stopped you from getting to something that felt like home for you. Right. The second card being Judgment. Maybe you had to make a judgment call, right? Maybe you are the one who had to decide that you weren't going to do that thing that you wanted to do because of this, whatever this is. That's possible. Look at you here. Where's Judgment here, Gemini, please? You know, hell, I mean, maybe you were supposed to go travelling or something. Maybe you were supposed to go and visit family, and the lockdown has stopped you from doing that. Queen of Wands has come out here as well for you, and it's at the bottom of the clarifying deck there, and it was over the top of the Ace of Wands, which you have here. I just say, interestingly, the Ten of Stones is underneath there, and in this deck, the keyword at the bottom is home, right? So what is this Queen of Wands to do with anything? Well, first and foremost, it could be a fire sign. We're talking about Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. It could be that there was something amiss with this person here, and this is why you needed to stay. Or it could just be speaking to the fact that whatever it is that you had lined up, that you've had to just push back a little bit, and it's left you feeling very frustrated and a bit wounded about. It's kind of, you are champing at the bit to get this done, right? This is the most active queen in the deck, right? Of all of them, I feel most of the queens are fairly static, but this one, she goes after what she wants, you know. She knows exactly what she wants, and she will go out and get it. To wit, it seems like there has been some element of teaching you some patience about this situation. Possibly. So, I'm going to move on to your current energy. And your current energy is this judgment again, right? Making this judgment. Now, interestingly enough, the two cards that clarify this are, like I said, the two cards that came up in exactly the same order, in exactly the same way for Scorpio. So if you've got some Scorpio in your chart, or you're dealing with Scorpio, maybe you might go and have a look at that. But it's the King of Wands and the King of Swords. Now, these are both the, you know, the highest level of their respected suits, right? But it speaks specifically about the masculine energy, whereas the Queen, of which you have two here, whereas the Queen is that receptive energy. It's fire, so it's kind of male-female balance. It's quite masculine, actually. Fire. This is the masculine. But I'm just looking at the imagery in these two cards, and it seems like this is two sides, and it's so funny that this is Gemini that I'm looking at. This is two sides of your personality, and maybe it's the situation as was, as opposed to what it needs to be, because what we've got is the King of Wands, which is the King of Bows here, and it's represented by snakes, and the King of Arrows, which is the King of Swords, which is represented by a kingfisher, right? Now, all of these snakes are knotted up in a big, like, ball, right? It doesn't look awfully like they're able to kind of extricate themselves from each other. By comparison, this is solo bird flying over this very, very still waters, right? This is emotional stuff here, and this is passion, right? And wanting to move. Now, it's in your current energy because I feel like you're needing to make a conscious judgment about how it is that you proceed. Not just with regard to this situation here, but sort of within yourself. Tell me about the King of Wands, please. He was at the bottom of the deck. It's the King of Cups. And I shuffled him in, and he's jumped out anyway. Oh, Three of Pentacles. One more for this, please. Oh, fucking hell. Right, that's 3 for 3 now. We've got the Queen of Wands is out again. Right. Now, in between this King of Cups and this Queen of Wands, we've got the 3 of Pentacles, right? That's cooperation, that's collaboration, it's teamwork. It's working together with someone to create something that will last a long time, right? Presumably a home of some description, right? We've got all of this masculine energy, and then we've got you sat at the end. Now, Judgment has come out twice, and I feel like I would be remiss if I didn't point out that we've got 4 planets in retrograde at the moment. And in June, which is, you know, will be the current energy when you're looking at this, at some point in June, we've got Mercury retrograde coming back in again. Now, the purpose of retrogrades is to kind of go over old things and kind of tie them up and loosen them off. Or tie up the loose ends, right, in order to move forwards. Now, this is a whole bag of loose ends there. Right? No, there's ends everywhere. You can't tie up those loose ends. You literally have to pull them apart and send them off in different directions. right? But it feels like whatever's been put on pause for you recently, there was a point to it, and the point is to help you unravel this mess here and get to this point here where you can kind of sail over this very still, very calm emotions. And that's what the King of Cups is talking about, mastery of emotions, in order that when you go off and you build this new thing in this, you know, fiery, passionate way that you want to do, you're coming from the best possible place to do it. I hope this makes sense to someone, honestly. So then we move to what is coming towards you in June, and we've got the Four of Swords. Now this is the card of taking a step back. It's about taking a break. For some people, I see it as the meditation card, but it seems like a more, well, it talks about rest and recovery actually, and it's interesting because we've got this Three of Swords out here for you already. The Four is the next one along. It is taking a break. Now you're an air sign, so, you know, swords are your suit. But notice how these swords are all under a veil here. It's almost like, actually, it's kind of tying in both the need to rest and the need to meditate, because it's kind of covering the swords over, right? The swords are your method of communication. It's how you think, it's how you talk. You talk a lot, you've got a lot to say, right? But it's kind of dialing that down a little bit for the month of June. And the two clarifiers that you've got are the Eight of Stones, which is skill, right? Eight of Pentacles, beavering away at something until you become a master at it. And then we've got the Two of Swords, and this Two of Swords here is called injustice, right? But it's this way around, which is awesome. Because if it's reversed, it's about righting something that is wrong, right? There's clearly something going on here. I hope this makes sense to someone. Tell me about this Eight of Swords, please. Ace of Cups. We've got the Three of Swords, but it's this way round now, right? So the swords can fall out and healing can occur. What was I just saying about the Three of Swords being, you know, what comes immediately before the Four of Swords? You've already got the Three of Swords out here. This is something that's wounded you, right? Because it's felt like it's unjust. But there's something in the way that you approach this in June which kind of fixes this. But it's not you using your mouth. And it's not actually necessarily you using your brain. It seems like you need to actually just kind of step both of those down and be moving from here, because that's where the Queen of Wands moves from, right? Your Queen is the Queen of Swords. She's very quick-witted. She's very intellectual. She's very smart, but she is also extremely logical, right? And it's interesting what you're being asked to work on at this point where you're stepping down your communication. Is very strongly Cups energy, right? But it's also healing. It's also vulnerability, you know? It's, for all this is the card of Aquarius, and so it is, you know, kind of like mental stuff. It's an air sign like you. There's a lot of water depicted on this card, and there is this guiding star at the top here, right? This talks to me about new love, yes, and it can be for someone else or it can be for yourself, and I feel like there's an element of it being for yourself here somewhere. But it also talks to me about forgiveness and compassion, and the star talks to me about forgiveness and compassion too. Vulnerability, open, honest communication of feelings, or even feeling of feelings, really. Because she's got these two cups and she's pouring from one into the other, you know, but she's butt naked, she is vulnerable, and she's not even looking at us. She doesn't look like she's about to open her mouth and say something, right? And then we've got the Page of Cups here as well, right? And the Page of Cups is small messages of love, and sometimes that can be an apology, but sometimes that can also be an inward communication that we give to ourselves of, you know, appreciation for who we are, respecting our own values and value and all that, but also forgiveness and compassion for ourselves, right? It seems like there's growth here, Gemini. There's shitloads of growth here, but you've been paused, you've been stopped so that you can work on this, you know, heart-centered, heart-led approach, which is the fire sign way always. No, you know, mental element of it anywhere. Because there's emotional stuff that you need to get on top of here, right? Make your pool look so, you know, beautifully still and clear that you can see your own reflection in it, right? Just as she's not scared of seeing her own reflection, right? She's completely naked and open and vulnerable to her own reflection. Maybe there's a bit of, yeah, it doesn't feel shadowy so much as it feels like the need for kindness to yourself. There's no sense of you needing to take ownership or responsibility or anything. It's gentler than that. Oh. Let's have a look. Anything else here? One more, please. Why? I said one more. One more, what the fuck? Because towards the end of the month, it sees you gearing up for something quite spectacular, Gemini, actually, because we've got you in the form of the Magician here. Then we've got, well, actually, hang on. We've got the 7 and 8 of Pentacles there coming towards you. That's your current circumstances, and that's the work that you're doing on it. The 8 of Pentacles has already come out for you, and what you are supposed to be working on is your own emotional well-being, right? But once you crack that towards the end of the month, we've got the Magician coming in, which is you stepping into your power. All the tools that you need are at your disposal. Then you have the Ace of Swords, which is the truth, right? It is now your ability to pick that sword back up and start moving along in a new truth, it feels like, actually, because it's an ace and a magician right there. Like, this is you bringing something new in. And then the final card is the Queen of Swords, right? This is you, older, wiser, emotionally mature, and incorporating that emotion into things. Now picking your sword back up and moving forwards with authority. Yeah? And that word is what I heard, authority. It's like, you know what you're fucking talking about now. Nobody can accuse you of being emotionally closed off because you've done the work and you've been looking at it, right? You now appreciate what it is, and it's now incorporated into what makes you, you know, a formidable force, frankly. That's really, really exciting. I really like it. Right, so I'm going to leave it there. There's an extended at the bottom. If any of this has made any sense to you whatsoever, you can go and have a look at that. And yeah, 5 minutes. That's all I'm doing for the shadow read. So maybe have a look at that if you are interested. Because emotional stuff is absolutely what the shadow talks about. So maybe that's just something that you need to look at. Who knows? But if not, all's the good. And I will see you very soon.